Welcome to another Village Media Up Close and Personal. I'm Scott Sexsmith. With the Beijing Winter Olympics happening this month, we thought it would be fun to catch up with Olympic gold medal champion Brad Jacobs. Brad, welcome to the show. It's great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And it's the first time we haven't spoken in a long time, Scott. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good to have you on the show. Now, there's a few things that I want to cover off today, Brad, and obviously with this being a Winter Olympic year, I thought we could go back to that exciting win in 2014 at the Sochi Olympics. But before we do that, let's touch on the Olympic trials back in November when you were oh so close to returning to the Winter Games.
You want to start there, eh? I'm not watching this Olympics. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that was quite the run our team went on back in November. It was a really awesome experience to come that close and give ourselves that chance again was really quite special. I think we learned a ton about ourselves that week once again. You don't win them all, but all we can really do is try to, put the odds in our favor as much as possible and work hard at the sport. And we did. We put ourselves in that situation where we had that opportunity to win. We came up short, but that's part of sport, all sport and life sometimes. So we need to make sure that, we keep a good head on our shoulders about it. And, we'll bounce back. I'm really looking forward to what's coming up next year, play downs. And really, we shifted our mindset after we lost that final to, okay, let's we still got lots to play for this year. And let's make sure we put on a good show for the Brier.
You said after that loss to Brad Gushue that you needed to be near perfect in order to win that game, and you said afterwards that you weren't.
Yeah, that's correct. Anytime that we've won a big game like that, and we've won a few of them, we haven't won enough, I would say, but we've won a few of them. Anytime I look back at some of the big games that we've won in our careers, we've played unbelievably well, and we've also gotten a few breaks along the way. When I think back to that game, it was really tough to get anything going. I will say that Gushue's rink did a really good job defending, basically playing it up and down the sheet really well. Their hitting was spot on. They had the hammer in that game, and I think the hammer proved to be a big advantage in that trials final. And we just weren't really able to get any momentum and get anything going. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, the game is almost over here. We need to try to make something happen. And it was just too little too late, but that's okay. It was, like I said, it was awesome to put ourselves into that game once again and to go through all of those emotions. It was really quite special and something that we'll always remember, even though, well, we'll remember it forever because we lost. And that feeling of losing, it sucks. It's terrible. It was gut wrenching. It was quite sickening. But to be in that position was pretty cool.
There's a saying in sports that winning doesn't feel as good as a loss feels bad. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I would. Yeah, I don't really know how to expand on that. It's true.
Now, I wanted to ask you, Brad, and being a golfer, you may know this. Sometimes you step out on the golf course and you play 3 or 4 holes, and you're hitting every shot, and you just know that this is going to be the day where you're going to score really well. Do you have those matches in curling where you're on the ice and everything just feels like this is going to be a good day? You can feel it in your gut, and everything is it's clicking.
I think that we do. I believe that comes from building up a confidence. So yeah, I like golf. I play golf recreationally. I'm a big golf fan myself, but I'm not that good at golf. So usually if I start off the first few holes and it's good, I know that there's a train wreck that's about to happen at some point in the near future. But with curling, with what we do and how we train and practice and how we get out there and compete against the top teams in the world all the time. I had a really good feeling about this season right from the first event. And I believe that one of the biggest reasons, actually, I know we'll probably talk about this later, or we can talk about it now, is we learned a lot about our team in the bubble last year when we played in a couple of Grand Slams, as well as the Tim Hortons Brier. We didn't perform as well as we wanted to in the bubble last year. And we came out of that thing with a lot of things that we had to work on, and we really focused on those things. And we built a lot of confidence, both as individual athletes and as a team going into this season. And I believe that our results have proved that, even though We won our first event of the year and we've come second place in almost everything else. We've made a lot of finals. We haven't broke through in anything big. Fingers crossed that changes in the near future. But going out there and just feeling like you can win all the time, that's how I feel like our team has felt all season, that we can win every game that we play, that we can win every event that we play. And having that confidence and bringing that to the ice is a great feeling.
And I would think you brought up the bubble. I would think when you're in a bubble like that, it would tend to bring you as a team closer together because you really have no other interaction with outside influences.
Yeah, I would say that it probably did bring us closer together. We were supposed to isolate and stuff like that, but we could get together as a team. But when you do get closer, when we found that when we did get closer like that, we kind of butted heads a little bit a few times, and that's not a bad thing. I want to make sure that I say that is it actually brought out a few things that we needed to work on, both with our technical side and our deliveries and things like that, but also our team chemistry and dynamic and figuring out communication a little bit better, little things like that. It's all those little intangibles that when you figure those out, they add up to that extra 1 or 2 or 5% in shot making. And that could be the result of between winning and losing.
Over your career, you guys have had some impressive wins. The Tim Hortons Roar of the Rings, the Brier 4 Grand Slam of curling events, 10-time, I think, provincial champs, and of course the gold medal. It's not a bad resume. When you have an impressive record like that, is the mindset amongst you guys that there's still room to improve and there's still yet another level that you can get to?
I think the bar is always going to be raised, particularly and I'll talk about the men's side today, but the bar is continually raised in men's curling at all times. And it hasn't reached its ceiling or its peak. I think all of us as world-class curling athletes know that it's always about learning and growing and becoming better at the sport. And there's lots of room to improve still. So that's kind of my answer on that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about some good stuff, some really good stuff. Back in 2014 at the Sochi Olympics, you guys went through the round robin, finishing with a record of 7-2, but actually started out 1-2. And I heard as a team there was a bit of an honest, straightforward chat with one another. Can you share with us maybe a little bit of context around how that conversation may have went?
Yeah, absolutely. So we won our first game and then we lost our next two, like you said, and we found ourselves at 1-2. We definitely felt like a deer in the headlights a little bit. The Olympics was a brand new experience for us. We kind of lost our ability to communicate a little bit, because when you go to the Olympics and you play in front of fans in that capacity, and a lot of them were, I would say, not educated about curling. They were cheering loud the entire time, especially when Russia, because our Olympics was in Sochi, Russia. When Russia was on the ice, it was more like a European football game or a soccer game. And we lost the ability to communicate. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves going into that Olympics. All that you hear from the media, and I saw it. I saw a few things on social media about some of the athletes, particularly the curling athletes that are going over there. The word gold is in like every post, every media sort of headline, going for gold. It's all about gold. They're going to come back with the gold. And I'll be honest, when we went there, we thought that we already had the gold medals around our neck. But there's a whole bunch of other teams that thought otherwise. And especially when they had the opportunity to play against our team, Team Canada, who's always won medals up to that point and 2 times won gold. And we were the 3rd team in a row to win gold. They've got other ideas. They're going to raise the level of their game against Team Canada. And we noticed that. So when you wear the maple leaf, and you go to the Olympics, our experience anyways was you don't get a game off. There might be a softer country at that point, although now I don't think there is. Everyone's gotten so much better all around the world.
Right.
But a softer team all of a sudden plays really well. And if you take them lightly, you could easily lose. And so anyways, we just put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We weren't ourselves up until that sort of fourth game. And what ended up happening was we had promised our families that we were going to go to Canada Olympic House after our third game and meet up with them. So we stayed in the village in condo style sort of buildings. And we had to go out of where we stayed and through a fence. And then that was where the Canada Olympic House was.
Right.
So we decided after our game, we would go and meet up with our families. You only had so much time to do that. And coming off a loss, we weren't too excited to go and see our families because we were bummed out. Right. Yeah. But we said, no, we got to go. And when we went, so Ryan Fry and Caleb and our coaches and Ryan Harnden all went ahead of myself and EJ. We, for some reason, went back after that game, went back to our accommodations. We actually grabbed our some CCM bikes that we would ghost ride right into the bike racks and stuff. We had fun with that. And we biked over. And we were getting close to Canada Olympic House there, and we ghost ride those things into the bars. And coming outside was Mike Babcock, and he was actually talking to Ryan Fry's dad, Barry Fry. And I hadn't met Mike Babcock yet, and EJ had though, and a lot of the other, I think everyone else on the team had. So I wanted to meet Mike.
Sure.
And we walk up as Mike's finishing having a conversation with Barry Fry, and I get to meet Mike, and he's got that, nice big jaw, firm handshake. He's, how you guys doing? And, we said, no, not too good. We're 1-2. And, we got a lot of work to do. We got a battle and stuff like that. And he kind of stopped us and he said, we have a saying in hockey, and it's a saying in any sport, but he's just relating it to hockey. He said, it's not how you start, it's how you finish that matters. He said, I know you guys. I watch you guys. I'm fans of you guys. He said, I want you to do me a favor. He said, stop worrying about winning and stop worrying about what everybody thinks. Put that gold medal out of your head. Take the pressure and expectations off of yourselves. Stop worrying about winning and start worrying about executing. And he said, if you stop worrying about winning and start worrying about executing, you guys will get what you came here for at the end of the day. And we already knew that as athletes, but coming from Mike Babcock at that moment in time was kind of what we needed for the reset button to go, yeah, he's right. We are looking ahead here. We got to focus on one shot at a time. And that was a big moment. We were all kind of, I explain it as we were ready to run through a brick wall. That brick wall right behind you there, we probably all four of us could have run through that. We just wanted to get back out on the ice and play because Mike had said the same things to Ryan Fry and Ryan Harnden just before EJ and I showed up. So after that, real quick, we had to play Russia in Russia. That was a big game. That was our fourth game. And this is where everything turned for us. We had a really good closed door conversation with Tom Coulterman and Paul Webster and Rick Lang. And they basically said, the team that won the trials, the team that we know hasn't showed up yet. It hasn't shown its face here yet. And if you guys can be that team that you were at the Olympic trials, nobody's going to want to play you. So bring that team the rest of the event. And they played a really cool sort of highlight video that they put together for us, about a 3-minute video of the highlights of our team winning the trials. And we watched it before every single game. It became this little superstitious thing that we did. And we didn't lose a game. We went out, we played Russia in Russia. It was, we made a big shot for 4 about halfway through the game, and we never looked back, and we didn't lose another game.
Yeah, you ran the table from that moment on. And it's not like those guys, Babcock and the coaches told you anything that you didn't already know, but sometimes you just need to hear it from someone else.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit. You finished at 7-2, and then moving on to face China in the semis. You win that game 10-6, and then advance to the gold medal game. How much did you sleep the night before?
Slept like a baby.
Really?
Actually, yeah. And it's like, well, why? We shouldn't have, right? We had a really good Curling Canada. After we won the Olympic trials, they put together a little weekend session for us at the Glencoe Club in Calgary, and they brought Mark Tewksbury in to speak to us and give us some motivation and also tell us about what the Olympic experience is going to be like. And Mark was fantastic, as he always is. And one of the things I took from that speech and everything that he gave us was he talked about sleep, he talked about rest, and he talked about how he struggled with rest and sleep during the Olympics. I think it was in 92 when he did really well. But he said that, sleep, as long as if you can't sleep, it's okay. Just make sure when you go to bed at night, if you can't sleep, just lay there, let your body relax and just stay in bed. And just doing that, you don't necessarily need to get a whole lot of hours of sleep to be able to come out the next day and perform. Just let your body relax and you'll be fine. And I always that one stuck with me. So when it came time to, we're getting down to the wire there. It was later in the event. We got to, play in the playoffs. I kind of thought back to that, and I was able to fall asleep quite well. And I know there was a lot on the line, but we were playing so good back then, Scott, and we were just fearless. We were fearless. We were full of confidence. We built a ton of confidence going throughout that event. And I really felt kind of at peace. I think we all did, at peace and at ease with having to go out there and perform in that game. And the other thing too was we were playing against Great Britain, Dave Murdoch. And to that point, I don't think we had lost to Dave. Now there's a first time for everything.
Of course.
And that team was, obviously playing us in the final. They deserved to be there, and they almost beat us that week. They should have beat us actually in the round robin. They missed a shot by nothing. And that was one of those breaks that we needed. But we went out there and we were well rested, ready to go. And we played an unbelievable final.
Yeah. And you win that game 9-3. And I think it was over in the eighth. Did that outcome surprise you?
Did it surprise me a little bit? Yeah. You don't ever expect to blow somebody out in a big game like that. I guess when you look back at the game, though, they ticked a few guards and missed a few, and we made everything. I mean, we were making everything. And the other thing too, back then was 4-rock rule, it wasn't 5-rock rule. So our team, when we would get ahead and we were playing well, when we would get ahead by 2 points, with our hitting ability at the time, that game felt like it was over.
Yeah.
Even 1 point, that game felt like it was over. And that our opponents at the time, they knew that as well, that basically can't get behind against these guys because they're just going to run us out of the building.
Yep.
And that's kind of what ended up happening.
So you win the match, you're gold medal champions. Who was your first phone call or text message to back in Canada after you won the gold medal? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. I like to think it maybe was my mom and dad.
Yeah.
I would assume it would have been.
Because Shauna was with you, I believe, was she not?
Shauna was with me, but my parents weren't. So I believe it was them, if I'm not mistaken. But I can't remember.
And even if it wasn't, that's the answer we'll go with.
That's the answer, yeah.
So when an individual or a team wins an Olympic gold medal, they're often referred to as the best on the planet in their sport. Was there a moment where it hit you that you would realize that in that moment, you guys were the best in the world at curling?
I'm not sure. There was a time, Scott, where I think that it probably happened before that. I think that when we went through the Olympic trials undefeated, that's when we thought and felt like we were the best in the world. To do that when nobody else had done that before with that field was pretty crazy. And I believe at the time, a lot of other teams, if not all the other teams, did feel like we were the best in the world. And why I say that is I remember when we went to play in the Continental Cup against Thomas Alsrud, we were playing in whatever the game, I think it was just a regular curling game at the Continental Cup in Las Vegas. And we hadn't played against them in a little while. And they're funny guys. They're entertaining. They have a lot of fun. They're a really good team as well. And he said something to me along the lines of, he with his accent, he's like, I had to see it for myself, Brad. He's like, you guys are good, because we beat them in a game there and we played unbelievably well. And he's like, everybody said you guys were good, but I had to see it for myself. You guys are really good. And that was kind of like that respect at that time that he had for that squad, our squad. And that was him saying, like, you guys are the team to beat. Even Dave Murdoch was saying some of those things to us at the time. And it was pretty cool. So I think before that, we kind of knew that we were the best in the world. We just had to carry that and maintain that for as long as possible. And that's the challenging part.
Yeah, I bet. So it's been 8 years now. Let me ask you this: how has winning that gold medal changed your life?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, people recognize us, not only in our own community, but in lots of communities across Canada, sometimes North America. Um, I would say, well, I don't know. How has it changed our life? I mean, it's just been a blessing. It put us on the map. It put Northern Ontario on the map, the Sioux on the map a little bit more, and it was, doing that was obviously something that we wanted to do for ourselves, but the impact that it had in our community was awesome. It was crazy. Still today, they've got the picture of us at the airport with the Marcoux brothers, and we see that all the time, and hopefully that'll stay up forever, or until that thing crumbles and falls apart. I don't know how those things work, but it was just I would say it gave us confidence as young men. I would say it helped us grow up a little bit faster, maybe. uh, but yeah, certainly just a very rewarding experience, something that, we'd like to reminisce about. So yeah, some of those things.
Let's go back to I think you were 10 years old when you started curling, and then maybe competitively at 12. Not a sport that you would typically hear a lot of 10-year-olds say that they want to play. So what kind? I mean, obviously the family history with the sport speaks, for itself. But what kind of drew you to that, other than the family connection, or was it that entirely?
It was that entirely. It really was. And my parents were always very good at just putting me in pretty much everything and letting me try everything and seeing what I like to do. And obviously, curling was what I gravitated to. I was a small kid, and Ryan and I, we kind of look alike, a lot alike. Even Ryan, EJ, and myself a little bit, but I would say Ryan and I really resemble one another. We've roughly the same sort of stature as well, and height and all that stuff. I was always a small kid, so playing body contact sports was not really suitable. I didn't
Right.
enjoy it because of my size. And but I was good at some other things, and always quite athletic, and we all are as a family. I think we all pretty decent amount of natural athleticism, so that helped. When I started, when I played any sport, really could pick things up pretty quickly, and curling was no different. I actually started later than Ryan and EJ. They started when they were a lot younger because their dad Eric got them out on the ice when they were like 4,
Right.
which my son's 5, so it's almost time to put some shoes on them and get the kids out there, and our daughter's
Absolutely.
7. So but yeah, it was family entirely, and Al, and both Al and Eric, as everybody in the Sioux knows, they had that Briar run in 1990 in the Sioux, and everybody knew those guys, and just runs in the family.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those who don't know, Ryan and EJ are brothers, and then you're their cousins. It's a real family affair. Does that bring a different dynamic to the ice or to team meetings because of that family togetherness?
I think the family togetherness has grown over time as we grow as men and growing families as well. I would say that we've matured quite a lot over the past. We've been curling together almost our entire lives, right? So there's a deep mutual respect amongst all of us. And I'd say it can be challenging at times, but you know what? I'd say that as we get older, it seems to be getting better. And I think that both Ryan and EJ would agree with that. So it's quite special. You don't get to often do things like this and play a sport at an elite world-class level with family. So we're quite blessed to be able to do that and be good examples for hopefully other families out there, and our kids.
Ryan Fry left the team in 2019 and was later replaced by Mark Kennedy, and by all accounts, he seems to be fitting in just like a glove.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was time for a change. We all needed a change at that point. We played together for like 7 seasons. That was a long haul, and a really great 7 seasons. We had our ups and downs like any team has. We had a lot of great memories. I mean, we won almost everything that you can win as a team, which was really cool. And we lost a bunch too. Learned from all of that, but we replaced Fry went on to have some success with John Epping's team, and we're still really great friends with Fry today. We talk to him still today on a regular basis. So no love lost at all. Love that guy. Always have, always will. But it was time for a change, and Mark was available. And you're right, he did fit in like a glove. He's just a world-class human being and athlete as well. How he throws the rock is so impressive, and how he is as a teammate and as a friend is even more impressive. So we're really lucky to have Mark.
Brad Jacobs is our guest on Up Close and Personal. The sport of curling, Brad, has really evolved over the years. I think back to the years with guys like Eddie Wernick and the toothpick hanging out of his mouth in the middle of a match. And it wouldn't be shocking to see guys, quaffing a few ales after the match, or heck, even during the match. You guys, I think, have really changed the way the game is played from a health and nutrition perspective. Healthy choices, working out a ton, and I know that is a hugely important part of not only the regime of your team, but now of it seems teams right across the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Teams have been raising the bar on that side for a number of years now. Probably when I think about it and I look back, you think of like Craig Saville and Brent Lang. I think of Mark Kennedy and Ben Hebert and that front end when they played with. So Saville and Lang obviously played with Richard Hart and Glenn Howard, and then Benny and Mark and John all played with Kevin. That's when I think things started to really start to evolve on the physical. And we were just a little bit younger than some of those guys, so we took it that much more seriously. I would say that working out and exercising and being in shape was something that we gravitated to in high school, and we just continued to do that and still do it today. It's a lifelong commitment. It sucks. Let's be honest. It's not, I don't look forward to exercising and working out. And anybody who does, I don't know, I think probably if you say that you do, you're probably lying. Let's be honest. But it is important if you want to, I don't know, if you want to perform as an athlete or for longevity, right? As we all know. So I think the thing that stood out we had four younger guys in our say mid to late 20s to early 30s. We didn't have the older experienced veteran skip in their 40s,
right,
approaching 50. We were four young guys who were in shape and who took that side of the game very seriously. That's probably where we raised the bar a little bit. And then obviously on the women's side and on the men's side nowadays, everybody takes it very seriously. There's no partying, there's no carrying on. It's in bed early, it's exercising, doing your best to eat healthy, have energy when you go out there, and just those long weeks of curling, when you get into them, rest and recovery and nutrition and keeping your body mobile is so important. So I would say that even though we've done a really good job as athletes on the men's and women's side of being that good example and really bringing the physical fitness side to the forefront, there's still lots of work that can be done. We haven't reached the ceiling there either, not even close. I think that there's a lot of room to grow there as well.
One of the coolest things about the sport of curling, I find, unlike most other sports, is that you guys are always mic'd up.
Yeah.
And that behind the scenes stuff as a viewer is very cool. You get that behind the curtain look. As a player who may from time to time forget they're mic'd up, any awkward moments that you could share?
I've never done that. It's hard. It's hard. Could you imagine if they put microphones on golfers and hockey players? Any sport, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to be careful. And a lot of people will come up to us and they'll say, I don't know how you guys do it, because even though, so the sport of curling and what we do is no different than any professional sport. We are out there competing hard. We're yelling. We want to win. We're giving it our all. And from time to time, things slip out of either frustration or excitement. I like to do it out of excitement. I try to, and the nice, so when you wear a microphone all the time out there and you curl, you get used to sort of, you begin to know, especially when you watch the games back after, you begin to know sort of when you can get away with certain things or cover it up or whatever, and when you need to be careful. So we've gotten pretty good at that over the years, but here's how I really feel. I don't think we got to be careful. We do need to be careful, but I've got a lot of people who have come up to me and said, I heard you say this, or we heard you guys or another team say this, and they actually say, I loved it. Yeah. But there's a lot of hate mail sometimes that over a little slip up that gets sent into to the TSNs and the sports nets. And we do have to be careful because we can get fined as well.
Well, absolutely, but you're in the heat of battle, and the last thing that you're thinking about is a live mic that's strapped to your waistband. And I think people need to remember that. A couple more questions before we let you go, Brad. I want to talk about the stare. I don't think there is anybody in the sport of curling, or maybe any sport, that has a look like you have on your face when you're throwing a rock. Where did that come about? Is it just a focus thing?
Yeah, a lot of people comment on that.
There it is.
My one eye is a little bit different than the other when I get all scrunched up, right?
Yeah.
But, that's just pure focus. That's me trying to get that tunnel vision, laser in, and really focus on what I'm doing, whether it be the target, the feel of the rock, or the handle in your fingertips. So yeah, it's just that's the way I play. There's really no rhyme or reason for it. I'm not trying to impress anyone or look angry. That's who I am, and that's what you get.
And at your level, you do what you got to do to get focus. And I remember having this conversation with former NHL goaltender, who I know, Marty Turco, years ago.
Correct.
And I said to Marty, 20,000 people in the stands, how can you possibly concentrate and focus on what's going on in the ice? And he said to me, I don't even see them.
No.
I only see the puck and the guys in front of me. And that's what I think of when I think of, your stare and focusing, looking down that sheet of ice. And the task at hand at what you have to do. Exactly. Let's talk about 2022. What's in store? Hopefully, COVID eventually becomes a thing of the past. But what's on the Team Jacobs schedule?
Yeah. So, and no talk about that COVID thing anymore.
None.
None. Are we all done with that?
Totally done.
Holy smokes!
Yeah.
And hopefully, in the near future here, things follow suit with what's going on in other countries, and we can get rid of those masks. So we're all crossing our fingers, I think.
No kidding.
But anyways, excited for what's going on in 2022. It was a little bit of a bummer start to the season with some of the lockdowns, and we had a bunch of things that were either canceled or rescheduled. But it looks like, so next week we actually have our, call it the 9th or 10th of February to the 13th is our provincial championship, Northern Ontario Provincial Men's Championship here in Sault Ste. Marie at the Curling Club. So we're excited to play in that. Unfortunately, we don't have Mark. Mark is over in Beijing. He's the fifth, right, and he's pitching in for Gushu's team, for Team Canada, both on the mixed doubles side as well as the men's side. So we had to fill his shoes with someone. We got Jordan Chandler from the island, Manitoulin Island, and we've played against Jordan since we were teenagers. So he's going to be filling in. EJ is going to move up to throw third, and Jordan's going to be with me in the house. And Ryan and EJ are going to sweep my rock. So that's going to be the lineup. And Caleb is actually moved up to fifth man, because you never know with everything that's going on right now. We may need him at some point. So
absolutely,
we have five guys ready to go next week, and we're excited to get out there and compete. We've been dying to compete in 2022. So that's our first one, but we are guaranteed a spot in the Brier. So even if we were to not be successful at the Northern Ontario Men's Provincials, we get a wild card spot. So we'll be playing in the Tim Hortons Brier no matter what. There's also the Players Championship Grand Slam event in April. There's the Champions Cup, which we're not in right now. We need to win the Brier I guess, or maybe even the Players Championship in order to get into that. And also, as most people know, or everybody knows, the Men's World Championships is scheduled to be in Las Vegas this coming April as well. We would love to go and win the Brier once again. We've been chasing that for so long, but we're not going to put too much pressure on ourselves. It's just go out there, do what we do, stay in the moment, and play hard, and we'll see what happens.
Just think about Mike Babcock's speech from 2014. That's all you got to do.
One at a time.
Brad, you're from Sault Ste. Marie. It's no secret that community and helping others is something that's very important to you. And certainly your work with your annual golf tournament has raised some much needed capital for Sault Area Hospital. What are there plans for the golf tournament this year? Is that going to happen? Do you know yet? Is it too soon to tell?
I would assume it's going to happen. We did it last year. We were able to pull it off last year, the year before it was canceled. And ironically, I just got an email and a text message and a little bit of communication from Robert Torello, who is the chair of our golf tournament committee. Nice thing about our golf tournament is it's gotten to a point where it's really running itself now. All of the work, as you know, you've done these things too, lots over the course of your career. Early stages of a big golf tournament like that, it takes a lot of planning. And now this thing is kind of turnkey, almost runs itself. We just got to meet and make sure that we get a few things in order. And it's been an awesome, fun time. That's something that we're like kids in a candy store. The week that our golf tournament arrives, we get usually celebrities come in, although we didn't last year. Maybe we can get back to doing that, and people get excited because we go out there and I'm sure you've played in it, right? Have you
Absolutely.
played? Yeah, it's a blast. It's a blast. That's what we'll say. And anyone who hasn't played in it before, and if there's any local businesses or anyone who wants to throw in a team, you'll have to do it quickly because we sell out every year. We raise money for the Sault Area Hospital Maternal Child Ward. We have a bursary at Algoma University, and we raise some money for junior curling and junior golf as well. So that's our big thing. We don't like to spread ourselves too thin on the charity side and doing too much, although we run our golf tournament. That's our big staple sort of thing. And then what we do after that is we try to get involved in as many other golf tournaments and things that we can that other people are running. So you're right. Community is very important to all of us. And we like to do everything that we can to help give back. So absolutely. And you do one heck of a job of doing that. Brad, you've done your country proud, and certainly the city of Sault Ste. Marie, and I know I speak for all of us when I say we can't wait to see what Team Jacobs does next. Appreciate you doing this today. It was great to catch up. Good stuff. I enjoyed it. Thank you. And thank you to all of our Plus members for joining us today on Up Close and Personal with Brad Jacobs. For Village Media, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for watching.